Here we are back with the Winchester model 1400. We're going to reassemble her. I'm going to wipe some goo off of this thing though first real quick. I just realized it springs all kinds of garbage on it. We'll go over reassembly and some other little quick things that could, if you reassemble it incorrectly, will cause you a little bit of a headache, and it's real simple, easy stuff that can be mixed up. So obviously we're going to start off with this trigger group here. Like I said, when I did the disassembly video on this, I'm still sick as a dog. It's getting worse, and I'm just too lazy to go to the doctor, so whatever, it's my fault. And take our trigger and slide it down in there like so, and then we take our pin. Remember, the one side is larger than the other. I don't know if you can tell that on the camera or not. But it will only go in one way, and that's from left to right on this trigger. And it really helps if you have everything lined up. This steel insert will move around inside this plastic trigger guard, so you got to keep that lined up too. There we go. Pin pops in, easy peasy. Your safety, red side to the left, go in. One of the ways that I'll use the trigger itself to kind of retain the safety while it's in there until I can get the hammer in. You know, make sure it's rotated onto the flat. The hammer it can be kind of a pain in the butt, but it's not that bad. When you put this together, this left leg and right leg have to go underneath this little slot in here. I don't know if you can really see that on camera or not, but as you you'll see there's a little hole there that the legs have to go through. And like I said, the right side leg detents this safety, so when you put this in here, you're going to put it in and roll it up underneath into their little slots, and you'll see it. It's not terribly, you know, it's not some kind of super secret squirrel thing, man. It'll go in there and it'll work. Sorry, I don't mean to keep going off camera there for you guys. But put the legs in there, and then, you know, now it's just a matter of getting the pin in. The pin itself has a flat side to it. There's a flat on that pin, and that's because this pin rotates with the hammer. And there's a corresponding flat in the hammer itself. So when you're putting this back together, not only do you have to have all this stuff, and of course the safety came out in the damn legs. God damn it. Like I said, pain in the ass sometimes. Oh, God damn it. Come on, little guy. Just cooperate for a little bit. That's all I need. This groove that's cut in this pin goes on left side, so I try and put the pin in from the left side so I'm not fighting that groove all the way through. But you will have to make sure everything's lined up, and then you have the flat of the... Why are you not cooperating, man? What am I doing wrong? Fucking bitch. You guys that are watching my videos, man, you don't like the language and shit like that. You know, I don't really care, man. Like, we're all big boys and big girls here, and if you don't like it, you can pretty much piss off. You know, go find somebody else's disassembly channel or whatever else. I don't really care. These little, there's bushings here. These bushings are plastic on the side of this hammer. This isn't all one piece. There's two bushings on each side of this hammer, and that's what that spring rides on there. And those can be replaced as well, and those are what have the actual flat on it. So be careful not to break those. There we go again. Sorry, I'm going back off camera again, but I'm just trying to get this hole lined up so I can get this pin in there. Oh, I'm going the wrong way with a pin too. What a dick. I'm sure somebody out there has some genius way of putting this thing together, and I just haven't found the trick yet. I glutton for punishment or whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But there we go. Ah, you motherfucker, it's backwards. Fuck it. I'm gonna go in that way. There we go. Ah, fuck you. Alright, I got it. I got it. Did I? Did I fuck this up again? There we go. The hammer has to be back for the safety to go back and forth. So if you're testing detent on the safety, it won't go all the way unless the hammer is cocked, and then that way it will go. All right, fuck you. I guess I'm wrong. No, there we go. Motherfucker. There we go. And the fucking trigger has to be out of the way too. The this is your trigger spring here. This is what puts downward pressure on the trigger for it to reset. So obviously that wasn't in there, and I'm kind of an idiot. Ugh, jeebless. I'm gonna go kind of reverse. I'm gonna put the disconnector and all that stuff in first, and that rides up. So that little leg and hitch in there rides up on the frame of the trigger housing itself, and then you just got to fight that little bit of spring pressure for the trigger return spring, and it's your disconnector spring as well, or shear spring, excuse me. Get it started. God damn, fucking spring came off. That spring goes on like so. If I can do this again. I'll just get it in the hole, get it started, get it around there, and wiggle it in so it goes all the way through. There we go. We got her in there. Anyways, next we put on the metal guy and just set that in there. And the orientation of this spring, it'll sit in there like this. And you see those two little feetses on it. Those two little feet kind of sit right in there, and it literally just sits in there like this. There's nothing special or anything about it. And then your carrier is going to come down on top of that like so, and then you're going to have to guide your plunger in there, make sure your spring doesn't come out like I just did. God damn it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm going off camera. I'm trying to get that spring aligned. That's how it should look and sit inside of there for you. Once you get those holes lined up, you can take the plate, stick it back in there, and that'll retain that. And then you get your left side plate, line it up. It should just pop on. Should just pop on. What am I missing? Oh, that trigger pin's coming out, that's why. There we go. There we go. Poke her in there. A little screw. We'll put our screw back together. And again, I apologize how shitty this video really is. I just feel like absolute dog crap, so whatever. It's free info, man. What are you bitching about? So there's our trigger group. Safe. Bang. So bang and no bang works. I'm gonna go ahead and put the bolt and carrier back together on that. Boop-a-doop-doop. This guy, put your extractor in there like so, and drop your spring down in there, just so it kind of holds on to the extractor from you. Once it's in there, you can take your little washer and drop it down in there. And the easiest way is, especially if you have like some of these bigger roll pin punches, I just use the nub of this. What is this? It's a 3/16 roll pin punch, but I mean just anything that will basically hold the punch in the middle of that little washer, and then you're going to put your cam, and usually they'll have some kind of mark on the top of this thing aligning that hole for your firing pin. And if it doesn't, you can always just draw yourself one if you really feel you need it, but they're pretty simple. And we're going to rotate everything in the proper orientation there. We're going to push down on that spring. You can see how that hole's not centered, it's off to one side. This shorter end, so to speak, is the side that goes into the bolt. But you take it and get her in there. I'm just going to take this and there we go. Seat it. And the firing pin. Realistically, I'm just going to put that in there to make sure that the hole's aligned, but I'm not going to put it all the way in. That won't happen until we put it in the receiver. Let's see. Now back into the receiver, we need to put the ejector in there. So that spring down in that little hole inside the receiver when it wants to cooperate with us. There's that guy. And then also you can see little spring, little hole. And the little tail of this guy here sits inside of that spring. So when you put it in, I just use pliers on this, a real small set of pliers. It's not that big of a deal. The hardest part is getting, because that little tail actually sits in the hole in the recess of the action. And then up front here, you've got to get that front little nose to slide into that little swivelly piece in there that I told you not to take out. And that's all there is to it. It just pops in there. And then now, we'll have a little bit of fight on this, I think. I usually have to, getting the bolt and carrier lined up inside of the action to do the rest of the work that we need to do. There we go. Just kind of get it lined up, don't rush it. You may need a pair of pliers to actually get the firing pin back in there, but all I'm doing is rotating this up and in and getting it staged up, just like so. And the reason I say you might have to have a pair of pliers is it's kind of hard to hold this firing pin in this tight space down here. Yeah, I'll just grab it, and that's just to get it lined up inside that hole. And once you have it lined up, use your finger and get it in there. Make sure it stays. God damn it. Not like that though, apparently. Okay. So the whole thing, holding that back. Again, tilt it up, get your spring in there, and then push that your charging handle guy back in here. And I know you guys didn't get to see that real close in the camera, and I apologize, but I have to be able to set this down and rest it. It's a pain in the butt. Your action arm is going to go on this orientation, and I just stick it in there and then tilt it up into position, and you'll see the slots and grooves that it rides in on the carrier and stuff. And from here, I go ahead and put the trigger group back in because it helps keep that action arm in place. When you take these tabs, stick it into the front here and make sure it goes in. You see how it slides in and out of that those little doohickeys there, the keepers or whatever, and rotate it in, keeping a little bit of forward pressure on it. Let's see, hammer pin's trying to walk on us again. Once it's in, your holes lined up, you take your pin and tap it back in, or not. There we go. Have all that together, and we're gonna do just like I did before. All I'm doing now is I just have the buttstock between my legs, and that just gives me, like, I can hold it and do stuff with this. Pretty easy process. And one thing, when you're putting this action spring back in the gun, notice that one end is physically larger in diameter than the other. If you look at it, there's a larger diameter on that end than there is in this end. That needs to face towards the front of the gun. If you don't do that, it will cause it so that it doesn't lock back, and you will have malfunctions and things like that. 2 gas ports on top here on the piston, 2 gas ports on the magazine tube. When you put this in here, you're going to want to, I mean, as long as you get everything lined up, it doesn't really matter. But I just take a screwdriver and grab that spring and pull back. Like I said, that spring is what detents this pin. Put your pin through there. Now you can lock your action back. Put your 4 in, and usually what I'll do is I'll kind of offset that 4 in just a little bit so it clears everything as I'm going over the tube. Drops in. Voila. Your release, action release there. Locks back. Bang. No bang. Bang. Yep, we're good. So that's all there is to them. They're pretty simple guns. They're pretty good workhorses too. You don't see a whole lot of issues. I actually had to replace the trigger itself in this one. The guy, they had a trigger lock or something on it and broke it. And so they brought it in for me to replace the trigger. They broke the trigger getting the lock out instead of, I don't know, grinding the lock off or something. I don't know. Yeah, they're not that difficult to defeat, so don't do crazy stuff. Don't ruin your gun to take a trigger lock out of it. But that's it. They're good, simple guns. They're workhorses for the most part. They run pretty good. Give me a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And you guys have a good one.